Hello, I'm Rico Caviglia, and I want to welcome you to your Ageless Body Self-Care training on how to improve your self-esteem. Now, I know this is such an important topic because, I've been a personal trainer and a health coach here for almost 38 years. And finally realized that one of the major reasons why people don't take better care of their health is because they have low self-esteem. So this is really an important topic. And we want you to know that our bodies are meant to be healthy and long lasting, and that most of the common health challenges that so many people are dealing with are not natural, and we do not have to accept them as normal. Our goal is to offer you the latest cutting edge, proven scientific information and strategies from some of the most trusted and top experts in the world. And that these recommendations are things that you can begin using immediately to take the very best possible care of that amazing gift you have, your physical body and mind. So this is about creating your healthiest, most energetic, best functioning, long-lasting body-mind as possible. So we're very fortunate to have one of the foremost experts on self-esteem, Dr. Joe Rubino, to do our training. So Dr. Joe, thanks so much for being here to share your knowledge and wisdom with us.
Always a pleasure, Rico.
Thank you. All right, so I think it would be a good idea to start off with really, what is your definition of self-esteem?
Well, to me, self-esteem is much more broad in definition than most people have it. Most people mistakenly confuse self-esteem with high ego, and the two couldn't be more different. So for me, there's really 5 different components to high self-esteem individuals. The first is personal power, and that is the ability to influence others, so that when we say something, people listen and they do as we request, or they at least pay attention to our requests. The second is significance, and that's having the attention and the affection of other people so that we feel like we're important, we matter, both to ourselves and to others. The third is virtue. Virtue means that we're proud of who we are, that we're not ashamed of the things that we do and the person that we are intrinsically. So we have to put on a false facade to hide as an act the person who we don't want other people to recognize because we're not proud of that person. The fourth component is competence, and that's the ability to have an idea and to produce results, to manifest those results deliberately and with velocity. So to take an idea and to manifest it into the world quickly. The fifth component is a very essential component to my definition as well. And that is, as opposed to high ego, it's about win-win, doing to others as you want them to do unto you, living by the golden rule, and actually supporting things that are good for you, good for others, and good for the world. So with those 3 conditions, that is a requirement for you to do something. It has to honor you, it has to honor others, and it has to honor the world. So you making money by polluting the world or by dishonoring or lying or cheating would not qualify as a person with high self-esteem.
Wow, that's so good, Joe. Thank you so much. And that goes exactly along with what I just said, right? All those things you said, a lack of those things is why people don't take better care of their health. Absolutely right. So that's why it's so important. It's such a great topic. All right. So just to expand on that a little bit more and tell us, really what is the real major importance of having high self-esteem and how it really affects your overall health and your success and your happiness.
Well, what we found is that those people who have most of the ills that plague society, so high school dropouts, drug addiction, bullying, low socioeconomic status, everything from war to not able to get along with your fellow workers at work or your family at home. They're all sourced in low self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And the opposite is true too. People with high self-esteem not only have more of a zest for life, but they have a positive expectation for their future. So they live according to honoring their values. They actually expect great things to happen, so they're open to the possibilities when they present themselves. And they're not afraid to take chances, to risk boldly and intelligently because they believe in themselves. And all of that is critical because if you fear the worst, then you're going to manifest that as a self-fulfilling prophecy. and you're going to self-sabotage, and then you're going to get to be right about it. You're going to get to feel sorry for yourself. You're going to get to be angry about others, and you're going to get to keep that whole drama cycle in place.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So again, if you're not feeling good about yourself and you don't have high self-esteem, you're not going to be highly successful in most any aspect of your life. So that's why it's critically important. All right, so let's talk just a little bit about what would you say the root causes of why people have such low self-esteem?
Well, it starts early on in life as a child, usually before the age of 6, where one of two things happens. Either someone says or does something that causes you to misinterpret what they said or did in such a way that you take it personally, that you damage your self-esteem, you feel unloved, unworthy, not good enough, incapable of achieving a result, something significantly wrong with you. Or you buy into somebody else's negativity. Now, that negativity could be a bullying episode, could be an ethnic slur, could be a spanking, could be a name that you're called. Doesn't matter what it is, but someone says or does something and you decide, I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable. And from that perspective, from that point onward, you start to look at opportunities from colored glasses. The more your self-esteem diminishes, the more you start misinterpreting things. So instead of interpreting things in a way that empower you, you create interpretations that disempower you. You create interpretations that further diminish your self-esteem. And as that downward spiral continues, before you know it, there's absolutely no doubt in your mind that that's just the way you are. You're not smart enough. You're not good looking enough. You're not witty enough. You're not a good friend. You're not a good person. Whatever it is that you made up about yourself, you will find that fatal flaw, and you'll actually attract others who will find that flaw in you. And in the end, you'll get to be right about it, and you'll get to justify why you are the way you are. And you'll sit on your little pity pot, and you'll think there's just not much I can do about that. And that's the lie.
Yeah, so these things are kind of programmed into our subconscious mind, and they're running all the time when we're not even realizing that as well, right? So,
yeah. There's a negative self-talker that I like to picture as on my shoulder, not someone who's internal like our intuition is. Our intuition is always sourced in our higher selves. Mm-hmm. It's always based in truth, and it empowers us. Our negative self-talker is there for two reasons. One, to keep us trying harder. I can prove that I am good enough when I think that I'm not. I can prove that I am smart enough when I think that I'm not. I can prove that people like me when I think that they don't. Or to actually keep us protected. So remember the last time you were invited to that party? You went there, you didn't talk to anyone, you felt like a jerk, you hid out the whole night. You're not gonna do that again. Oh, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, you're right, I'm not gonna do that again. So you took that job, you failed miserably because you went in over your head again. How many times have I told you not to go in over your head? And so our negative self-talker's job is to keep us safe and complacent, so that when we hear that voice, what there is to do is to say, okay, recognize it's not my intuition that's speaking. This is a voice that's based in fear. So thank that voice for sharing. Now tell your negative self-talker to shut up and take a hike and take some action that's absolutely 90 degrees perpendicular to whatever the fear is that you have. So if you're invited to a party, go to accept the invitation and commit to having a great time at the party by making somebody's day better than you found them. Pick somebody shyer than yourself. Go to that party and ask people questions about themselves. Give them compliments. Shift your energy and the energy of someone else. And it's that way with any negative self-talk. You can actually take some action that's going to break it up so that it's no longer your truth. You create a new truth for yourself by reinventing yourself in a way that empowers you and makes your life happy.
Yeah, so it's really all about awareness. We're being aware of what we're believing and what we're thinking and the words we're saying, all those things, all energy, and they make a difference. So you just got to catch yourself, like as you were saying, when you're having these negative thoughts and these fears in your mind, you just got to shift it to focus on what you want instead of what you don't want, right?
Yes. What are you committed to? Are you committed to your happiness, or are you committed to being right? Are you committed to working out issues with people so that your relationships work? Or are you committed to being one up on them? Are you committed to showing off, or are you committed to transparency and vulnerability in a good way? So get clarity on what you're committed to, and that makes your decisions easy when the moment of truth comes where you have a decision to make.
It's like that saying how we need to spend more time in our heart. That's where our intuition, our real knowing is, and get out of our head, right? Our heads, when we try to intellectualize things, that's what gets us all messed up and all just get back into our ego thing. And that's where it's all fear-based stuff, right?
Totally right.
Totally right. So what would you say the very number one mindset shift that you should make in order to break that mold of being in that fear-based thoughts and being in that low self-esteem?
Well, it comes down to interpretations. It's all about interpreting things in a way that support you. Interpreting things from the perspective that everyone does the best that they know how to do, even though we don't condone bad behavior or hurtful actions. We can ask ourselves, okay, what's it like in that other person's world for them to have said or done that? And if they say something, we can try it on like a coat. And if the coat fits, we've just been contributed to. We wear the coat. If somebody says something, your hair looks really lousy today. Okay, so let me see. Okay, what's it like in their world to have them say something like that? Well, maybe they're concerned about my appearance, and maybe they want to contribute something. So is there some validity to that? Can I improve my appearance? Okay, yes. So that's been a contribution. Now, if it's coming from wanting to make us wrong or having them be better than us because they don't feel good about their appearance, well, then maybe we'll give them the benefit of the doubt and we'll say, okay, well, thanks for sharing that. I'll look into that. But it's important to leave others whole in our interactions with them. So give up your right to take things personally, create interpretations that empower you, and champion other people at the same time. When you can do all of those behaviors simultaneously, not only will you build a relationship and make a friend, but you'll give up your right to be invalidated. You'll give up your right to be offended. And so you won't be in that constant reactive state where your emotions kick in, where your anger, your sadness, your fear, your anxiety kick in, because you're creating positive interpretations moment by moment that move your life forward happily, in a prosperous way, and a fulfilling way.
Yeah, that's so well said, Joe. Yeah, it's like how people will want to blame other people, like, well, they offended me. Or that nobody can offend you or do anything. It's just you allow that to happen. You always have a choice how to, like as you said, interpret whatever goes on, whatever experience you have. You can interpret that, and you have the choice to choose it as, well, this is something I can learn from, and I can do better, or also I can say, well, I don't believe what that person said, that they're having a bad day or whatever. So you always have the choice of how you interpret it, right?
Yeah, and one thing that's good to look at, Rico, is if you notice a chronic condition showing up in your life. In other words, more and more people are saying the same sort of things to you, or your anger is everywhere. Whatever that chronic condition is, should or could provoke a question for you. And that question is, who am I being that this type of situation keeps showing up in my life? And how can I take responsibility for diffusing it if it's not something that serves me and others, and moving onward? Because when we take responsibility for our lives, in every aspect of our lives, there are no victims. It's about being able to respond, response able, as opposed to blame or fault. And when we're able to respond, we look at how can I make the best of this situation? What can I learn from the situation? How can I communicate more effectively? How can I empower the other person? How can I empower my own life? How can I create a win-win-win for myself, others, in the world at the same time? And when you get used to developing that habit, you start to see things differently. Your whole energy will shift. And the energy is what attracts others to us. Not only others, but opportunities, blessings. And if you want to prepay your blessings, all you have to do is have a positive expectation that's marked by gratitude. Be grateful for every person, especially the difficult ones, because the difficult people are there for our development. And when you can remember that, you can ask yourself, what is a gift that this person is giving me right now?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the gift of not reacting emotionally with anger or sadness. Maybe it's the gift of being in development and interpreting things in a way that empower the situation. So there's always a gift if you look for it.
Yeah, it's like the saying that everyone's our teacher. Everyone we can learn something from, everyone that meet. And I really like how you really brought up the point about it's our responsibility, that we're responsible. And I like to say that everyone would like to be powerful, right? Be a powerful person. Well, it's very easy to be powerful. It's just be responsible. When you're responsible for everything, then you have the power to live the way you want and to change your thing. But if you don't take responsibility, you want to blame the government or the economy or somebody else, then you give up your power and you're a victim. So that's just a good point.
Yeah, and look, when you're talking about personal power, is your power based on force or is it based on respectful authority? So if people respect your opinions and they want to hear what you have to say, you're more likely to influence them. If it's based on force and you make someone do something because they're afraid of you, well, that force is temporary because, as soon as they get a bigger stick than you have, then your ability to influence them goes away. And they'll look for ways to take you out when you act irresponsibly in a way where you use force as your personal power as opposed to authority.
Yeah, really well said. Well, I know you have lots of trainings, on your website. You have lots of trainings and courses, and you do personal coaching and all that. So how about if we could give our listeners some, maybe like 3 to 5 of your best tips or maybe strategy that people can start to use right today that can make a big difference and making them feel better about themselves, improve their self-esteem, and actually love themselves more.
Well, sure, I'm happy to do that. My self-esteem system that I've patented has 3 components, and the components are heal and complete your past, do a proper assessment of your present state, and then design your future and choice. So let's talk about each of those 3, and I'll give you some principles and exercises for each one.
That sounds great.
With respect to healing and completing your past, as long as we are at the effect of what we made up earlier in our lives, whether that be as a child or earlier this week, doesn't matter, because we continually reinforce the same things that we make up or interpret time and time again. And if our interpretations are such that they make us angry or sad or afraid or anxious, then we're run by our emotional reactive moods. And it's a good practice to recognize what your predominant, always automatic, in the background mood is. This is an emotional state that for most people, it's a form of anger, sadness, fear, or anxiety. And the way to look at it is, look at your upsets. Every time you're in an upset, ask yourself, how did that make me feel? Was I angry? Was I sad? Was I afraid? Was I anxious? And what happened? What was said or done? And how did I interpret that situation? Or what did I make up about myself or the other person or the world in general that caused me to be gravitating toward my addictive mood, like a heroin addict is addicted to heroin? If your addictive mood is anger, you get to be right. You get to make others wrong. You get to dominate them and avoid being controlled by them. And so it has some temporary benefits to it, but the costs are tremendous. It destroys relationships. You lose your personal power because your power is based on force. It's not based on respect, like we said before. If you're addicted to sadness, 350 million people are addicted to sadness. These are people who display clinical depression. And it's a real thing. Brain chemistry changes. We absolutely shift our energy and our brain state. But when we're addicted to sadness, what happens? We gravitate toward and attract into our lives people and things that make us sad. So we hate being sad, but it's comfortable, it's familiar. We get to avoid responsibility for being happy. We get to be a victim. We get to evoke the pity of other people. We get to have a little pity party. And all of that keeps it firmly in place. But it's costing us our happiness, our potential in life, our potential to impact others with our energy, and all of our dreams. The third emotional responsive state of fear is one where 24% of women and 16% of men are addicted to fear. And so they will live on the edge in a way where they're constantly afraid. They're afraid of losing their job. They're afraid of losing their relationship. They're afraid of not having enough money. They're afraid of natural disasters. They're afraid of whatever it is. They'll find a reason to be afraid because it's their addiction. They'll create interpretations when heat is on to go to that fear. And it's the same with anxiousness. There are some people who are anxious who they interpret everything in a way that makes them nervous or anxious. And so the exercise is to recognize your mood, your addictive, always present, automatic state in the background. Ask yourself these questions. What was said or done, facts-wise? No interpretations. John said, I'm going home now. And you determine, yeah, you're going home now because you don't want to be with me. Nobody wants to be with me. Made me sad, as an example of an interpretation. Create a new interpretation that has no sadness if that's your addictive mood associated with it. Okay, John had a pressing engagement at home. He loves being with me, but he was here for an hour and he needed to go and do something that was important to him. Okay, no personal affront, no invalidation, no offense there taken. Now, do something that's going to empower the situation. So maybe text them that, what a great time you had and look forward to seeing them again or something like that. Something that's going to be a positive interpretation, a positive forwarding of the action. So when we get ourselves in the habit of creating positive interpretations that support us, we now get to move our lives forward. So healing and completing our past is filled with situations that bother us, that keep us up at night, that we have gone over in our minds hundreds or even thousands of times because we're incomplete with them. Mm-hmm. So the way to complete is to create new interpretations. If you need to, write a letter. You don't have to mail that letter. Express everything you want to say. Create a positive interpretation about what happened.
Go ahead. I don't know how to turn off my machine here. Jeez. Okay.
So create a positive interpretation, release the emotion, and take some action that supports you. So that's one example of healing and completing your past. Writing a letter is another example where you say everything that there is to say. No need to mail that letter, but actually so that if the person were in the room, you could actually be fine with them there. You could give them a hug. You could actually not be bothered by what happened between you years ago or whenever it happened. So you're complete with that whole episode.
Joe, before you go on, I just want to add a couple of things because it's so important what you brought up. So I think what the real thing you were saying was, whenever those things come up, whether it's fear or sadness or anger, it's about reframing it and change your interpretation. And we have the power to do that, right? You have the power to believe or think or interpret any way that you want, but you just have to exert that power and reframe things. And the other point I wanted to make was so important what you were saying. All those things that you were saying, when you get angry or you're sad or you're
afraid.
All those things really lower your immune system, and they really are harmful to your health. That's, we're talking about how to improve people's health is the main thing, and all those things are so destructive to our health. It's a precursor to most illness in our body. Isn't that right?
Oh, it certainly is. We wonder why, all physical manifestations are a manifestation of an internal condition. Yeah. So cancer, heart disease, stress, it all wreaks havoc on our health.
Starts up here in our.
And we wonder why our bodies are deteriorating and why we're constantly in the state of dis-ease. It's because we've created the dis-ease through our interpretations and our expectations.
Right. Good. Okay. Please go on.
Okay. So let's look at the second area, doing a proper assessment of what's so in our present life. So if you look at the 6 key areas of life, your health and appearance is the first one, your wealth and your finances, your career or your occupation, your relationships, your area of personal and spiritual development, and the area of having fun and recreating and pursuing your passions.
Perfect.
In all of those areas, if you were to rate them 1 to 10, If you're not at a 12, then there's something missing that could be put into place to support that area.
You have to ask yourself, why not, right? Why not? Why am I not there, right?
Well, there's a good reason.
Yeah.
And here's the exercise. You're going to ask yourself, okay, in each area, so let's take health and appearance first. What's missing that, if put into place, would support my health and appearance to be a 10? Okay, well, with your health, if it's easy if you have unhealthy habits, you smoke, you drink to excess, you don't exercise, you eat poorly, whatever that is. If you're unhappy with your appearance, what part of your appearance are you unhappy with? Do you need a makeover? Do you need some dental work done? Do you need to, get a haircut? What do you need to do to improve your appearance in a way where you can be proud of your appearance? You can actually be at peace with the way you look. And it's the same with all those other areas of life. If your occupation or your career is not to your liking, what can you do about it? I'll give you a personal example. I was very successful by society standards as a practicing dentist, but I really wasn't having a whole lot of fun. I really didn't enjoy it. Now, there's nothing wrong with the great practice of dentistry. It's a very valuable service, and it's very important, and it's great for many people. But for me, there was something missing. And the courage in my part came when I asked myself, okay, what's missing that, if put into place, would have you be content with what you're doing? And for me, it had to fulfill some value. One of my values of inspiration. I wasn't inspiring anyone at that point. I wasn't contributing to the extent that I thought that I could. I wasn't having fun. And so I reinvented myself to empower people to live their best lives. And now that took me from probably a 4 to a 12 in that area. And we can all do the same in every area of our lives. So do this exercise. Take those 6 key areas: your health and appearance, wealth and finances, career or occupation, relationships, personal spiritual development, recreating, pursuing your passions, and having fun. If you're not at a 10, ask yourself, what's missing that, if put into place, would get me closer? Take some actions then and develop a sound action plan to actually put something in place to get some traction on getting closer to your dream life. Can we go to the third area?
That's so good. I just want to say that's so good. That's like a whole transformational course right there, isn't it? That's a whole lifestyle transformational course. That's so good, Joe. I want to remind people that you don't have to be writing this down when you're watching this, because we have a transcript of all we're talking about, and then also on your PDF, there'll be more information of some of Dr. Joe's information, and also how you can contact him and how you get more training. So all the stuff will be in your PDF as well. So, yeah. So go on, Joe. Doing great.
More exercise with respect to
one more.
Planning your future and choice.
Okay.
Okay. So this is all about living deliberately, and I'm just going to give you the umbrella, because
I like that.
This is about half a dozen principles and lessons all in one, but I'm going to give you the whole piece so that you can get a sense of what it looks like to be empowered to live deliberately and to enjoy the process of life. So the first component of creating your dream life is to get clarity upon what your life purpose is.
Yeah.
We all have a life purpose, and we're either living it or we're not. It's something we get to declare. It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as exuding love into the world, making somebody's day better than you found them.
So good.
Being light and humorous and making people laugh. Being a teacher. Being a champion of a person, a group, or a cause. It doesn't have to be very complicated. But if you're living your life purpose, your work is play, and you love what you're doing every day of your life. So get some clarity, and many of our programs and free gifts involve more clarity on how to identify and step into your life purpose. Once you've determined your life purpose, create a vision for your life that's detailed and written. And that vision is going to be written down in first person present tense. I am, not I will. And it will encompass every aspect of what your life looks like in a movie clip. If you were to do a 2-minute movie of your life when you're living your dream life, including the qualities of being, what qualities will you be known for? Will you be known for having fun? Will you be known for empowering other people? Will you be known for being an inspiration with your lifestyle? What will you empower people with? What will people associate with your name in terms of qualities you want to be known for? What will you do on a typical day at work and a typical day at play? So how will you spend your life energy? Will you give up your right to be invalidated and work at the widget factory if that's not what you love to do? What would you love to do that's a function of your life purpose that you could do on a daily basis? And people will reward you very well for that, because what is prosperity and abundance? It's about, there's three components. It's about having a mindset that is an expectation of being able to create abundance. It's about following through on a vehicle to support that abundance. And it's about getting coaching or support to break through the stops that keep you stuck and going back into the soup, going back into the ordinary everyday routine that has you hate what you do. Okay? So life purpose, vision, being, doing, having. What will you have in your life when you're living your dream life? Who will be in your life? What people? What causes? What friends? What animals? What plants? Where will you live? What toys will you have? How will you vacation? What will you do to love life? And most importantly, who you contribute to. Because a vision that's all about yourself is self-serving, and it's not going to inspire anybody. So you're going to write this down in first person present tense as if it's already transpired. So I wake up in the morning and my significant other is there to greet me with, a hug and a kiss. We're living our life in choice. You're at 1600 on New Hampshire. My Siri is kicking in the background.
It's all right.
So what does your dream life look like in every aspect? Write it down, read that vision twice a day. In the morning when you wake up, at night before you go to bed. So the mind can't distinguish what's real from what's vividly imagined. And when you have a powerful vision that you're reading and you get to expect it, it's that positive expectation that is the important thing that creates results. Because when we see something as inevitable, our mind says it's inevitable. I'm going to achieve it, and here's what I'm going to do to get there. So let's go to the other aspects briefly of how to manifest that. Action plan with goals, short-term, medium-term, long-term goals. Personal development plan. Personal development plan involves the qualities that you'll be working on as you take on these projects that empower your life. Because what's going to happen? Whenever you declare that you're up to something, stops are going to prevent you from getting what you want. Breakdowns, challenges. So you're going to use your personal development plan. Maybe you're hiring a coach. Maybe what you're doing is you're doing personal development in a lot of different ways. We have many programs, and many people out there have programs to support your success and your excellence. So you're living in a way where you're letting life train you. You're looking for possibilities day to day. You're expecting that every day is going to give you a new opportunity to be, do, and have all that you can be. So is that enough exercises for now, Rico?
That's so good. I was going to ask you what ideas you had to motivate people, and that's it, to develop your personal activation plan. That's what's going to do it. And just a few points on what you said, because you said it so well and so clear. It was so good. First of all, is the thing about purpose, and that's what I've realized, that when you actually begin to not only discover, but begin to live in your purpose, that's what's going to motivate you to take care of your health, to take better care of your body and your mind. That's so important. And the other thing I was thinking of as you were talking was when you mentioned about it's like a movie. Think about it. Your life is like a movie, and you're the director. You get to direct the movie just the way you want your movie to be, right? So right. That was so good. And so, Joe, that was really awesome. I really appreciate that. It was so good. So I think that's a lot already to absorb, and that was so good. But again, you want to learn more and from Joe. All his information is in your PDF and how you can contact him. And also he has some free, he has that free audio. Tell him about that audio that you can get. It's so good, but the 7, what is it again? I forgot.
Yeah. There's an audio, 7 mini course lessons, and a video.
Oh yeah.
The audio is called 7 Steps to Soaring Self-Esteem. And it goes through 7 principles and exercises, as do the mini course. Just like I've been giving you a few examples, these are different examples, where you take the principle, you map it onto your life, and you become the principle that you want to embody in your life. So when you're able to do that, you're able to see things differently. And when you see things differently, you become different. You act different. Your energy is different, and the world will respond to your new energy. So you'll get the audio, the 7 mini course lessons every other day or so to your inbox. And then a couple of weeks into the program, you'll receive a 1-hour video called The Secret to Success and Happiness in Life, which is a public television show that I did a couple of years ago that goes through an extensive treatment of what does it look like to live in choice? What does it look like to be happy with a positive expectation for success every day of your life?
That is so good. So I highly recommend you take advantage of that. All this stuff is free. So you definitely want to go there and take advantage of that. So both Dr. Joe and I, we want to urge you to take this opportunity to really embrace this knowledge and take the recommendations of our experts. And we know that it absolutely will make a big difference in your health and your enjoyment of your life. And the healthier you become, the better your life becomes, and the better the life of everyone you touch becomes. So thank you very much. And Dr. Joe, that was so fantastic. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Rico. Can I leave everyone with the challenge?
Absolutely.
This talk can be something that perhaps you might have found interesting, but for it to be really impactful, you need to take action.
Yes.
And so what I'm going to invite you to do is to get clarity around what it's costing you. What is it costing you to live a life that's less than totally on fire in terms of your passion, totally on fire in terms of you love life so much you can't wait for the next day. You want to live 300 years doing these things that you're doing because they're so much fun and they're so rewarding to you.
Yes.
Get in touch with what it's costing you not to have abundance in your life, or great health, or rich relationships, or fulfilling work, or whatever it is that's most important to you. And decide right now that you're going to do something about it. Get the free gifts. That'll be a great first step toward manifesting the life of your dreams, the life where you expect great things to happen, you're honoring your values, you're living your life purpose, and you have a positive expectation that every day is going to be there to help us grow and learn and have fun.
Really well said. So I'll just end it with saying, the more you love yourself and love your life, the better your life becomes. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Rico. Thank you, everyone.